So Poornam Shunyam. Either of the world, once we'll understand, it will very easily take us to the state of meditation. So it's a matter of first understanding it and then applying it in our day-to-day life. Application is also not that difficult. Anything and everything that you touch or you perceive can lead you to, provided you apply Poornam and Shunyam. Poornam and Shunyam, the following affirmation we have heard many times. But do we really mean it? And do we understand? It's a plain, simple English, but apply it. I am whole, I am full, I'm total, I'm perfect. I am total, I am perfect. I am Poornam. I am Poornam in Shunyam. I am rich in the knowledge. I am beautiful the way I am. I am a divine being. I am a divine being. I am a divine being. So, understanding first, let me come out for a second. I am whole. If we digest upon this particular topic, our unrestful, our disturbed state, our mind wanders everywhere. In the base of this wandering, we have to understand that you are looking for something that you don't have. And as simple as this, if everybody were to be happy, do you think anybody would even bother to learn something called yoga or meditation? So when we are not happy, we are not whole, something is lacking. Whole, complete, all, everything put together. So even if you take just the first sentence, I am whole. Whole means what? Is anything and everything needed for your life to be executed is there. And then when I say anything and everything, that means what? There is nothing lacking. You're so fully satisfied. And you have everything that you possibly may need. So, I am whole. So really speaking, every day, instead of even chanting the fancy little prayer, you can just say that word, that I am whole. And remind yourself, and even if you take a simple, say, you cook salad, and if the salad is whole, exactly the way the dressing need to be, the cheese need to be, the salt, pepper, everything, then would you need anything? Would you do anything? So I am whole. And this is, and again, now you go to your own body. Would you ever have to do diet or choose the vitamins or any other medication if you would have been whole? You would have been just perfect in health, mentally so happy, so blissful. Would you need anything? So to say, just the first word, I am whole. And the remainder words may also guide us or reinforce the first one. I'm whole, I'm full. I'm full applies to, again, I'm whole, but fullness, anything and everything that you needed to have, not only you have it, but you have it to the full saturation level. And what do you mean by saturation level? Nothing more is needed. And that also is talking about the wholesomeness. I'm full. The second word, third word says, I'm total. Total. And you can apply I to yourself. You can apply I to the universe. You can apply I to the galaxies. Anything and everything in whatever proportion, exact appropriate proportion, all put together, it makes it total. So at that time, and even if you take just your own body, your eyes may be working perfectly, so you cannot say, I don't need anything else. No, you need hearing, you need smelling, you need tasting. So all those put together, and not only this, then the mind is also needed, the heart is needed, and every different parts, what the anatomy and physiology, medical science, as well as meta-science, is guiding us, without which we are not whole, we are not total. So the word total, fullness, every word was so carefully chosen. And by now, if you do not know this whole, I would suggest contemplate on it. Even though there may not be a word of God, but anyway, we know what God is by now. Going still further, and it is not only, it is full, it's not only total, but it's perfect. Everything happening at the right time, in right proportion, in the right sequence. So perfect, so precise. And if you study your own life, except a few hindrances here and there, and particularly when all of you were young enough, have you ever thought of diet? No. Because even at that time, perhaps the world may make fun, you may make fun of it. So everything inside body and outside the body, and even in the cosmos, is happening perfectly. So if you connect all those 4 or 5 words and still more, then the whole thing together, there's only one word which can describe everything, and that is Poornam, totality. A lot of people translate Poornam to be total. But even these 4 words, and we can continuously keep giving the examples, and still it does not explain the word Poornam. So then we wonder why the word Shunyam is connected together. The word Shunyam, it has a couple of meanings. Shunya refers to 0. Shunya can also mean nothingness. Shunya can mean absence of everything. But that's not what Upanishad talk about, Shunyam. Getting to this field, I would like to share a couple of slides, and from there, we will be in a position to study what really Shunyam means. Okay, sometimes we say Shunyam means negligibly small. Now, when you are a billionaire, and if somebody says that, oh, by the way, Maheen, I borrowed $1 from you, here is the dollar. And you're a billionaire, okay? You think $1 will make any difference? And he says, no, come on, so take it easy, you know. But if it is $1, perhaps she may not have changed, and she says, okay. But I offer 20, 30 years ago, I wanted to call somebody. That time, cell phone wasn't there. And I did not have dime to put into the coin machine. And Maheen was kind enough to loan me that time. 30, 40 years ago. And today I go and says, Maheen, I'm so grateful to you. You remember that I borrowed dime from you. Does it make any sense? So it's negligibly small. But then even if I go further, more than dime of any, everybody will laugh. I say, what is it? Negligibly small. We have heard the word milli. Milli means thousandth part of it. 100 part of $1 is a penny, and there's no currency thousandth part, milli. And then you take billionth part, which is 10 to the power 9. And you keep going, keep going. You don't have to remember all that I'm giving you the example with. But there, I don't know, there was or there is, let's say there is, a German scientist by name Dr. Pank, P-A-N-K. He could measure a dimension, and that's the least dimension known to the scientific world is not 10 to the power minus 3, not minus 6, not minus 9, not minus 12. Cut the story short, he has gone up to 10 to the power minus 35. You cannot even put 35 zeros. Now, would you not call that to be negligible? But that's not Shunyam is. Now, to understand the Shunyam, there was another mathematician and scientist, Dr. Middleton. He mathematically devised such a beautiful equation that Dr. Planck can go up to -35. Once I will show you a video, then you decide up to what minus you can continuously keep on going, continuously. Let me share with you that. Now, this sloka, which all of you know, if you read the letters in green, those of you who know Sanskrit can read the top line, but every word is broken up by the chhed. Okay? He says Om Poornam Adaha. Adaha means that. Poornam Idaha. Ida means this. So this is Poornam, that is Poornam. Poornam out of Purna. Poornam, totality, udachyate, spills over, meaning it keeps on generating without disturbing anything. And here, Purna Asya, out of Purna, Purnam Adaya. Adaya means subtracting or taking out. Purnam, totality, eva vashishyate, left over. So that means if you take out Purnam out of Purnam, still Purnam remains. Now, this and still further was very well proven by Dr. Middleton. And let me see the next slide. See, this particular diagram is called fractal. Don't have to remember all those fancy words. And the fractal, I will show you the video. It is so lovely to see. could you understand whereby it's like if you take one seed of an apple and out of, so basically understanding that one little seed that can create an apple tree. Apple tree will have millions of apples, and those will have trillions of seeds, and those seeds will have trees in it, possibility. So a time may come and the whole California can be full of apple trees. And you still continue, now then the further state will become apple tree. Then the whole world will become apple tree. Then the other, not the countries, but the other globes, if you may call it, some other stars and planet. So the point is, and this, if anybody recall the word Brahman, and Brahman means ever expanding reality. But then if you take the whole world to be full of apple tree, and you keep on shrinking, 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 you may come across one seed, but that seed also can have many billions of the seeds in it. We don't see it. So that billionth and trillionth part of it is called Shunyam. So in other words, now you see the seed has the jungles of apple trees, meaning totality, fullness, completeness. And each world will also have Shunyam in it. So let me share with you one or two other parts.
Anaji,
Yes.
can I ask you a question? Can we, if for the explanation of the Shunyam, in my mind, I can think of the way you explain, if you can, if there is any way to explain God and Shunyam. Isn't that kind of the same thing?
Absolutely.
Not everything in nothing.
Everything is nothing, and every nothingness is everything.
Is everything.
That's right.
Yeah. So exactly like God, how God is.
That is how you can call it that to be God.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So now, since you raise a beautiful question, if you come across and while biting an apple, you just hold the apple and hold that seed, and holding it and looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, contemplate on it. Do you think you will have to go to a temple or a church to see God? Okay. And exactly the same or even different ways. You pull out one little hair from your head, and that hair, how many millions of hairs you have, and still each one has a unique characteristic. Each one is full, each one is whole, each one is total, each one is perfect. All right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yes, anybody else? So in that case, you can see this, you can have open eyes meditation. You can be just walking in a garden. This morning, I was looking at some flowers on my dining table and the flower vase. How beautiful flowers, oh my God. And each one has different color, has lovely fragrance, and each flower has beautiful curvature, 5 petals. And now just think, See this purple and pink flower. Those purple and pink flower, they grew in a separate bushes. Both the bushes may have the same soil, get the same sunshine, get the same water, but how come one turns out pink while the other one turns out blue? And where does the first flower came from? All the food that we are eating, who was the planter, per se, or the gardener? Even if the gardener would have been there, but the gardener cannot grow. Gardener need to have the seed. Where does the seed come from? Shunyam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So as I mentioned earlier, as and when you will start thinking about every word of it, and slowly, even though your eyes are open or closed, but then the eyelid will drop and you yourself will reach to Shunyam. Your brain will not work. When the brain will not work, you will start thinking about the totality. At that time, you alone will not exist. You will see the whole universe, and still the universe is blank. There is nothing in it. So sometimes you think how to meditate. And so as soon as I heard the word Shunyam and Poornam from Chris, I felt so happy that he brought that one out. And this I wanted to share with everybody. And now, let me take you to the Shunyam state and understanding, and also the Poornam state to the ever-growing reality. Couple slides and then we'll talk further. So just allow me. Okay, now sometimes you may wonder what it is, but you see, this is called cyclic, spiral cyclic. It keeps on going in and in and in and in and in and in. Or if you keep on thinking, going bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and maybe the whole Irvine or whole California, whole universe, and still keeps on growing. And this cycle, you don't have to look for too much. You will even find it in your garden. You will also find it in shell. When you go to the seashell. Now, let me share with you. Next slide. Now, this is pine cone, if you have seen it. The pine cone, and this is sunflower seed. The sunflower seed also had the floret arranged in this pattern. And what is that pattern? This is the one I'm showing you, the red, is computer generated. So if the journey begins even on one petal, it can keep on growing. Now here you could see in this flower, could you go close and you see the pattern here? Could you?
Mm-hmm.
This is Mother Nature. And Mother Nature, in a miniature scale, also reflects Poornam and Shunyam. So you can imagine, you can visualize how those great wise people from Bharat, India, they thought of all this thing. They contemplated enough in this. And then they come to know, oh, yes, divinity is total, so full. And let me also share 2 more slides, and then we'll talk. Now, this picture, I got it close to 35, 40 years ago in one of the magazines. This is called nano photography, 10 to the power -9. And on this, the entire picture is nothing but a very, very, very tiny particle of a sand particle. And the colors are not by the photographer or not by the artist. That nano photography could reveal this pattern and reveal all those different colors. So you see this is 10 to the power -9. Had Frank would have been there at that time, perhaps, he would have had, I don't know what he could do, 10 to the power -35. So understanding Shunyam, and now I will take you back to this one. So we came up to I am perfect, I am Poornam. There's some typo error, so pardon me. And the next stanza says, I'm rich in the knowledge. Now, which knowledge the saint is talking about, or the yogis are talking about? They're not talking about physics, chemistry, biology, and economics, and history, and whatnot. But the governing knowledge with which it is so hard for you to even understand what is Poornam and what is Shunyam. There must be certain principles, certain physics, certain chemistry, certain biology, even before the science of biology and physics came into picture. They are following it. Now, Bernoulli, who laid out some mathematical equation, and Dr. Middleton, to understand the ever-growing reality, but they just happened to find out a mathematical equation. But the Mother Nature had that mathematics in it. All of the physics law, we are just finding out some mathematical expression. But the physics was already there in the universe. So that's what is meant by I am rich in the knowledge. You can go to a dietitian or a research physician. He may know that this organ secretes certain enzymes, certain digestive juices, certain hydrochloric acid, certain amount of acetone, certain amount of cholesterol. Those words came in where? Last 200 years. But thousands of years ago, you think the human being had a different digestive system? Well, I'm not putting medical field down, but the point I'm making is, I'm understanding this world, I am rich in the knowledge. And once you get absorbed into the wealth, the richness, then don't you say, I am so beautiful. At that time, you're not talking about the Miss World beauty, but the beauty, the richness, the infinite power and the science and the knowledge is so full that you have no expression, no word to express. And once you understand this, And the only explanation that comes to you, you are not you, but you are a divine creation. You are a divine being, divinity. And this word divine or divinity encompasses the entire universe. And each one of us, or each one of the elements in this divine kingdom, is also a contributor, whereby okay, we come out. Whereby there is no room for our ego. If you genuinely go deeper and deeper into Poornam and Shunyam, you think, you still will think that, oh, it is Swamiji or it's Mahin who said that. No. Even saying where does the power come from? Where does the seed come from? And the transformation as it shifts from place to place to place. And all the knowledge that what we call knowledge in the scientific world, that is negligible as compared to what the science, chemistry, biology, all sciences, that the universe has it. And one would never understand. The cyclic order, and let me share with you one, I got to share this slide, and I'm sorry, it looks like it did not come out in the sequence I wanted. I apologize. Let's advance it. I found a slide that of Galaxy, which shares with us the cyclic order. Yeah. I'm so glad I found it. So, okay. Now, see, in this one, you could see the fluoride very well. Could you see the slide, everybody?
Yes.
Okay. Then this slide will take some time to explain you. This is the map of India, and the way during thousands of years ago, in which they had built what is called Shiva temple. And if you start taking from the center, let me share this slide. How about this now?
Yes.
Okay. So this all those dots represent different Shiva temple. And you start connecting them, then this represents the spiral, ever growing. Okay? And that one, now look at this slide. This is the shell. And the shell has, this is the pattern. You see, cyclic order. So before the mathematician find out an equation for it, Mother Nature has been using it. And now the slide which I wanted to show you, this is at galaxy level. Look at this one. You see how it is ever explained?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
And one of the tiny bitty dot is nothing but our solar galaxy. So it is galaxies, galaxies, galaxies. And that some mathematician scientists must have drawn this. And when you look at the sky and look at a couple of orientation of the stars, and maybe Hubble microscope may not even reveal this. I don't know under what conditions they must have obtained this kind of photographs. But it's not only just the appreciation, but what I wanted to share with you, dear friend. We have been studying, I am whole, I'm full, I'm total, I'm perfect, I'm Poornam. Now, anytime in the morning when you get up, read that and contemplate on it, or even before going to sleep, or sometime when you're by yourself, and understand what a miraculous the explanation or those affirmations are. More and more you genuinely contemplate on those affirmations, would you know how carelessly you will get rid of your ego. At that time, you will never know that you are the doer. Things are happening. And as soon as you come to know I'm reaching the knowledge, meaning my eyes know what to do. Some of you may not be even aware that when your eyes are open, you know eyes are filtering so many objects. Otherwise, you go crazy in 1 second. The amount of stuff which is available. Same thing with your ears. How many things you could hear, but it filters only those sounds which are beneficial to you. Whereby, again, the point I'm making is, dear friends, derive very heavily bundle of gratitude. Oh cosmos, oh dear, oh Poornam, oh Shunyam. How can I be thankful to you? More and more you will understand, more and more you will dissolve into the ocean, and you will come to know whether you are a tiny bitty water particle or a big whale, or the Atlantic Ocean, or the Pacific Ocean, it's still the water. So there's no difference between you and the divine kingdom around you. And at that time, you dissolve. And as soon as you dissolve, all the disturbing thoughts, what will happen to my mother, when we shall be back into the Woodbury Yoga Center class, okay, or when could we go somewhere else? When would I have a nice mansion in Beverly Hills? All these things, because you come to know it is total fullness. So dear friends, this being a very useful tool for meditation and for the spiritual seeker. You do not necessarily need to know Sanskrit or any other high languages, but even this, just one word Poornam or one word Shunyam is enough. What do you say, Chris? You don't know how much grateful I am to you, brother.
Well, I'm grateful too, but I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Many questions. You talked at the beginning about Shunyam, it being negligible, a small amount, a tiny amount.
Mm-hmm.
That's the first time I've heard that. I thought Shunyam was nothingness. A small amount is something.
That's right.
That's why I'm confused.
Okay, but small amount is negligibly small. So there is nothing like Shunyam, and still there is everything like Shunyam.
I don't understand.
I know. By the way, the first time zero was found out by one of the yogis in India. Till then they had 9 numbers, but they did not have zero. But that's beside the point. So there is nothing like concluding point of the expansion and concluding point for shrinkage to nothingness. Okay?
Okay.
So
Because I'm thinking even if Shunyam is a minuscule amount, many amount,
Mhm.
it still has form.
Absolutely.
And nothingness has no form.
Wow.
I don't know. I'm just asking. I don't know.
No, and you are right. But when our mind doesn't reach there, then we conceive that is Shunyam.
Can you say that again?
If I have to,
Yes.
let me see if I recall what I said. When your mind cannot conceive, and howsoever minuscule it may be, so when it cannot conceive, mind blanks out. And that blanking out of the mind, you can conceive that may be zero. And that
can be Shunyam.
That can be Shunyam.
Got it. Thank you.
And that Shunyam leads you to a mindless mind thought. But there is no thought. Are you with me? Or am I confusing you?
I'm with you most of the way.
Yes.
When there's no thought, there's emptiness.
That's it.
But out of emptiness is everythingness.
That is the whole beauty of understanding Dr. Park's 10 to the power minus 35. And still he say, this is where science could reach. Doesn't mean it's not there further.
So infinity is not only expansion, but also contraction into nothingness.
God bless you. See, you added one more dimension. So it can be negative infinity, can be positive infinity. And still we say infinity. And our mind reaches to huge, large number. But it's not large. It's larger than largest. English-wise, it may not make much sense.
And then when you go the other direction, inward,
yeah,
smaller than smallest.
that's right. Okay, and that is
Everything, yeah. Okay, this is good. This is good. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have to contemplate on this.
As soon as you start contemplating, you will lead to nothingness. Okay.
Thank you.
Sunil,
So,
question.
I have a question.
Alcina, okay, go ahead.
Now, if I understand the Shunyam correctly, does that mean there's a difference between Shunya and Shunyam?
No, Shunyam is the Sanskrit, and Sunya is also Sanskrit, but when you want to address as a doer, vibhakti, first person, I'm sorry now taking you to Sanskrit, it's called Sunyam.
Oh, okay, got it.
Sunya and Sunyam same.
Same, thank you.
Anybody else? Mukesh.
Sonaji, let me ask you this. Sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
1 minute, Mahit. And my Galaxy S10, I don't know the Galaxy S10, you may want to come up and introduce, and if not, Hariom. Okay, Maheen.
So from what from the whole thing, I understand the affirmations that we talked about just now, because of us human beings, because of having a mind, we cannot be in those states all the time because of our mind. And in this regard, every other creature on planet has advantage to us, like flowers and plants and animals, because they don't even have to do that. Go there and make themselves or bring this, because when your mind interferes with these affirmations, it could easily become egoistic. If I am complete, if I'm total, if I'm beautiful, or this and that. But they don't have that thing to make them, so they must be totally surrendered and understand all. I mean, it's a part of what they are.
Human beings are the one, those who have self-awareness.
Is that good?
Nothing is good and nothing is bad.
Oh, be quiet. What I'm saying, is that a good thing to have?
Well, it is up to individual to know. We have possibility of expansion.
Yeah, but for us, for me, it's always a question of when I come to this planet or anyone else, all the human beings, you have to struggle so hard to go back to where you were before you were born. And this concept for me is always a huge question mark, that why I have this mind and I have to contemplate and get out of where I am as a human being to become a part of Shunyam.
If you just consider for a moment that you did not have mind
Yes.
and keep on thinking, and that time just discuss with me or in a group.
That's not easy. To think you don't have a mind, it keeps on coming back and say, hey, I'm here. You're trying, but I'm here.
That, if I may put it, that is also the part of unreached in the knowledge. Part of that grand knowledge is your mind. That's why it keeps you going to happiness, unhappiness.
Yeah.
Otherwise, the life would have been dull.
Or peaceful, like flowers and plants and everything, which has peace in them, except human beings.
Let me tell you this. You talk about you love peace. We all love peace. But what are we doing? We are doing everything possible not to have the peace.
There you go, exactly. Because of my mind is disturbed. Because when I was born on this planet, they built me the way I am, my parents or whatever, and I have now become about who I am, and my mind is disturbing me constantly, and I have to work on it so hard to go back to where I, to not have this disturbance.
Mind is there for disturbance. At the same time, it can be guided to go in the other direction.
Yes.
That is the sadhana, that is the yoga, and that for which we humans are born.
Okay. Thank you.
May I make a comment?
Go ahead.
Something that Maheen just said, I have to work so hard to calm the disturbance. But isn't what yoga and meditation is about is not doing that, is not struggling. It's just letting go.
Yeah, letting go is something you have to do again. All of it. I'm not saying we have the guidance and everything we need to do it, but just doing it. That's the thing.
Okay. Keep on thinking, and some point in time, when the time will come, I owe you to explain to you, yoga is the science of doing nothing.
Perfect. Thank you.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.